Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be building out Linktree, but it's not going to be this page that you're seeing. It is going to be the internal page once you log into your account. So we're going to be building something similar to this, where you can add in your links and then they're going to display here, and then you can upload your profile image, you can add in your name, and then you can change your bio. So the app that we're going to be building is going to be similar to this. So for example, you can add in your name here, your first name, and you can see as I type in, then it also fills out here. And then you can also add in another name. You can add in your bio, so something about myself. And once again, as I type in, you can see that it fills up on the right. And then you can add in links to your social media. So let's add a few. So YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Okay. And then once you add in your social links, you can scroll down a bit and you can see we have a couple of templates. To begin with, the default one is this blank white canvas that we have. But if you don't like this one, then you can select from the templates that we have inside here. We're going to create them so that if you want to create even more templates, then you are going to have the general idea of how to do it. So you can select this image, for example, and it's going to display on our mobile phone here. And if you feel like this is not looking so good, then you can go ahead and select another image or another image until you get the one that you're satisfied with. And once again, this is just all from my own templates, just a couple of images that I downloaded from the internet. And my personal favorite is this one right here. And then before you can take a look at our profile, then we need to upload a profile image. So I'm going to go ahead and choose an image here, and I'm just going to select this one, and then I'm going to upload it. And when I click on upload, it's going to take a while to upload to our Cloudinary account. And then once it uploads, then it's going to appear right here. Would you look at that? Looking nice, nice, nice. So we're also going to be using Cloudinary so that we can host our images once we upload them. And then once you're satisfied with everything, then you can click on view profile, and it's going to take you to a bigger page which shows you how your Linktree profile is going to look like for other people. And when you take a look at this and you feel like you're not satisfied completely with how it looks, then you can go back and edit. And then, for example, you can select another image such as this one, and then you can view profile and it is going to update accordingly. So it is a very good project. It has some bits of functionality which are very interesting to me. And we're going to be using Cloudinary, just as I've mentioned, to upload our images, our profile images. And we're going to use Next.js to build this out. So right away to begin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a command prompt, a terminal window here, and then I'm going to cd into my desktop and then into a folder that is called YT videos. And then I'm going to create a new Next.js application. So I'm going to say npx create next app, and I'm going to call it iRecreate -Linktree. And then I'm going to let this run. And I should mention that I'm using Next.js version 13. That is why we're going to have a bit of options here. So we are not going to be using TypeScript, so no. And then we want ESLint, yes. We want the source directory. We don't want the app directory. And the imports can be used as follows. So Next.js version 13 introduced all these options that you can select. So if you don't have these options, then you should probably upgrade to the latest version of Next.js, and you can check how to upgrade on their documentation website. So I'm going to let this run, and then once it finishes, then we are going to begin. And so once it finishes, then I want to navigate into the newly created folder. So I'm going to say code iRecreate -Linktree, which is going to open up an instance of Visual Studio Code into this folder that has just been created here. And once this opens up, you can see that we have our folders created inside here. We have the source folder, and then we have the pages folder, and then we have the styles folder. So right away, I want to install Tailwind CSS because we're going to be using Tailwind CSS for this project. So I'm going to open up my terminal using Ctrl and J. And then I'm going to take a break because my computer has started its issues. So it has been about 12 hours, and now we can continue. So we were going to install Tailwind CSS. So let's go into the Tailwind CSS website. So Tailwind CSS, and then we are going to install it into our Next.js application. So let's go into framework guides and then Next.js, and then let's begin with this one. So copy and paste, and then copy, and then let this run. And then once it runs, we can paste in this second one, which is going to create our Tailwind config file. And then because we are using the source folder here, the source directory, so we're going to use this one instead of these three on top. And then we're going to say into our Tailwind config.js, we're going to paste it inside here and then save it. And then we are going to copy this and paste it inside our global CSS. So inside the source folder, inside the styles folder, and inside the globals.css, we're going to remove everything inside here. Just select everything, and then we're going to paste in our Tailwind utilities. And then finally, we can begin to start our dev server. But before we begin, I want to go into fonts.google.com, and then I want to get the font that we're going to be using, and the font is called Inter. So let me go ahead and, why is this taking so long? Okay, so I have Inter here. I don't need this font, so remove. So the Inter font is here. I'm using the regular 400 and the semi-bold 600 font weights. So you can go ahead and search for Inter here, for example, and then you can select this one, and then just select the regular 400 and the semi-bold 600, and then we're going to use the import tab here. So copy and then paste it below this. And then once you have that, then what I'm going to do is I want everything to have a font family of Inter, and then we're going to have a fallback of sans serif. And then I think we can save that. Oh, you know what? Before we save it, let's give the body a background color. So I'm going to say add apply, and I'm going to say BG slate 100. So just give it a very slight background color, or you can say BG gray. I think they're going to work the same way anyways. So we can save it, and then we can go ahead and begin to run our dev server. So I'm going to say npm run dev, which is going to start our dev server on localhost 3000. So if I navigate into localhost 3000, not 30, really, localhost 3000, once this opens up right there, then we should be able to see our Next.js application, and then we can close this part and we can begin to work with everything. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to delete this file. So the home module CSS, we're not going to use this file, so just delete it. And then inside the source folder, we are going to create a new folder called components. So components, and then we are going to go inside the pages folder, and then inside the index.js, because it still has the default that is created by Next.js. So we're going to remove this main element. So all the way up to the bottom here, we're going to remove it. And then for our document title, we're going to rename this, and I'm just going to say Linktree clone. Or you know what, let me say iRecreate Linktree, because I want to begin a new playlist that is called iRecreate on my YouTube channel. So inside here, we don't need this. We can remove this. We can remove this. I think this one as well. And then what we need to do now is we need to create a component. And so the components that we're going to create, we're going to have a form here. We're going to create this form all the way up to here, up to the links. And then the templates are going to be in a different component. And then we're also going to create a component for this mobile phone that you're seeing. So what we're going to do therefore is, let me just see if I can structure this well. So inside our components folder, let's create a new file called form.js. And Next.js doesn't really it doesn't really punish you for naming your components in small letters. I mean, at least so far, I don't think it does punish you. But what it does ensure is that when you're creating your application, then the component always has to be capital inside here. So the name of your file can be small letter, but inside your component has to be capital. So far, that is what I can gather from Next.js. So once we have this, then what we're going to do is we're going to create our form input. So let me create a div, which is going to be the container for the entire form. And then the first thing that we're going to create is the image upload. So the image upload is going to be this input, and then we're going to give in this button. And in order to do that, by the way, we are going to have to separate this component into a separate component, because this is going to be a form on its own. So this is going to be a form on its own, and then begin first name and last name, they're going to be, and it's going to be another form. So inside here, we're going to be rendering our image upload. And then below this, we're going to have another form here. And the form is going to be an input with the type of text. And what I'm thinking is I don't want to separate first name and last name like I've done here, because it becomes a bit cumbersome. So I'm just going to put name, and then you can type in your first name and then your last name. So here I'm going to give the name a name of name, and then the ID is going to be name. And then do I want to set it to required? I don't think so. Let's give it a placeholder here that says enter your name. And then let's grab this input, and then we're going to place it inside an article, because I want to have a label inside here, and the label is going to be for name, and the label is going to say enter your name. And then we're going to save this. And then if you take a look, then we need to first of all display it inside here. So let's create a div with a class of container here, and then with an mx of auto. And then inside here, we can display our form that is coming from components form. Now notice how the input here starts with @ and not /. That is because when we were creating our Next.js application, we said the import alias should be this one. So take note of that, take note of that. And I think we can close this now. I think I just wanted to show that. So let's close this. And then now let me go ahead and save this so that this stops breaking. And then we should be able to see module not found style CSS. Oh, there we go. So enter your name. And then you can see that it is already limited. It doesn't go all the way to the end. Like you can zoom out and it doesn't go to the end. That is because of the class of container that we have placed. Where is it? Here. So the class of container. So it just limits everything. And then let's add a padding on the Y of 10, and then for large screens, let's say padding Y of 20. And then let's give it a padding on the X of 8, so that on mobile screens, then it's not going to go all the way to the end, like so. Why isn't our font applying? Our font is not applying. Is it because this has to come first? Let's see. Okay, there we go. So the import has to come first so that the font applies. Now we can place this to the left. And then what I want to do is I want to style all the labels that we're going to have. So all the labels, I'm going to say text, I'm going to say @apply. So using tailwind, and we're going to say @apply text. I'm thinking of using yellow, even though I used purple for our demonstration here. I'm thinking of using yellow or amber. Let me say text amber 600, and then font bold. How does that look? Okay, that looks ugly. Let's take it back to purple. Let's just use purple because that is what I used. And then we're going to say that for the labels, all the labels are going to be block elements so that they begin on their own line. And then I'm just going to say text small, and then for large screens, then the text is going to go back to base. So for mobile screens, then the text is going to be small like this, and that looks okay. And then let's give it a margin bottom of 2 just to push away from the input just a bit. And then let's tell on all the inputs that we're going to have, and I'm going to say @apply, and we're going to say padding Y of 3 and padding X of 2. How does that look? Okay, and then let's give it a slight rounded border. So rounded with a very slight box shadow. Why not? Wait, how did I style this? Well, these are transparent. They're transparent. So instead of having the box shadow here, let's have a bg-transparent, and then let's have a border, and then the border color is going to be purple -600, I think 600. and then the placeholder text. So placeholder, we're going to say purple dash 600, or you know what, let me say 400, so that the text is going to be purple dash 600, meaning the text when you type in. So inside here, and let me see, that looks fine. Let's remove this outline. So for the outline, we're going to say this, oops, we're going to say outline dash none. And then when I hover, sorry, not when I hover, but when I focus on the input, then I want a ring of 4. And then on focus, I want a ring of purple dash 200. Meaning when I focus on this, look at the ring that is going to form right there. A very slight ring. Probably make this 300 so that it's a bit more visible. Yeah, so that we're going to have this. So that is the focus. That looks nice. That looks nice. And then all the inputs are going to have a width of full so that they stretch out all the way to the end. And yeah, that does look nice. Does look nice. Anything else we can do? I think let's have it at that. And then let's continue to create our form. So we have an article here. We're going to have another article with a label that goes into what? Let's make this full screen now. So we need the bio. The bio is now no longer an input, it is a text area. So here we're going to have a label for bio, and then we're going to say bio, and then we're going to have a text area with a name of bio so that it links to this label with an ID of bio as well. The columns can be 30, but the rows I want to reduce them to about 5 maybe. And then the placeholder here, so placeholder is going to be tell us something about yourself. And then what else do we need? I think that is it. Let's save it so that now we're going to have a text area here. Now what I want is I want this text area to have the same styles as the input. So what we're going to do is just inside the input here, we're going to place a comma and say the text area. So meaning the text area as well. And then this is going to be styled out like so, looking nice. And then once you have the text area, then we want the links. So these links. So we're going to go back inside here. We're going to create another article. And then we're going to have an input with a type of text with a name of links. Let me just call it link with an ID of link. And then we're going to have a placeholder. I can't type. The placeholder is going to say add links to your socials. So add links to your socials. And then we're going to have a label on top that is going to be going to links. And then it says what? Links. There we go. So save it, and then we should be having something on the screen. There we go. Now what I want to do is I want this to separate out. So that's why I placed articles inside here so that I can go on this form and I can give this form a class name of flex. And what will happen is it's going to break a bit. So now we want them to be flex column so that now I can add a gap of about 8 to separate everything out. There we go. That looks nice. I don't know whether it looks nice, but you know what? Let's just have it as a gap of 8. We can work with that. So that is going to be everything inside here for our form, except that now we also need to create our templates, but we are not going to create our templates just yet. The next thing that I want to do is I want to create our mobile phone. So as you can see on mobile, this looks nice. Our application looks nice, right? So what we need to do is we need to create our mobile phone below this. And for that, we are going to create another component inside here that probably I can just call phone. Come on. And then I can go inside my components folder and I can create a new file called phone.js. Notice once again that it is lowercase, but then inside my application, I'm going to change this to uppercase so that I don't have issues. And then once I have that, I can just return a div that says phone for now, so that inside here I can import this correctly. And then when I save it, then we should see phone right there. So that looks okay. That looks nice. So let's begin to style out how our phone is going to look like. And inside here, we are going to do this. We're going to return a div. We're going to return a div. And then this div is going to have a class name of border-8 and border-black. border dash black, and then we're going to give it a rounded of about 2xl. And then let me see, what else do we need to do? Should I give it a height? I need it to have a height of 96, which is 300 and something pixels. I think 384. Yeah, 384 pixels, so 24 rem. And then we also need it to have a width. So for now, it can have a width of full. But when I get to medium screens, meaning tablets, then I want to reduce the width significantly. So on medium screens, I'm going to give it a width of 9/12, width dash 9/12, which is what? Width of what? What is 9/12? 3 goes here 3 times and 4, so width of 3/4, yeah. And then on large screens, then I'm going to reduce the width to dash 96 so that it doesn't go all the way to the end. And then let me see, let's save this, let's save it, let's see what you have on the screen. So we have this on the screen. Now height of 96 doesn't look too good, right? Height of 96 doesn't look good here. So let me move it from here, and then let me give it a custom style where I'm going to give it a height of about 500 pixels, and that should increase it just a bit. And this border radius doesn't look too good, so let me also give it a custom border radius. So I'm going to remove this from here, and then I'm going to say border radius, and I'm going to say about 30. I think that should be enough. How about 40? And then let me increase this height to 600. I think that is better. That is much better. Okay, so as you can see that this is obviously not what you want right here. So I'm going to work inside our index.js, and then inside this div, I'm going to give this div a class of grid and grid columns -1, and then I'm going to give it a gap of 8, or you know what, gap of 8. Let me say gap of 16, so that is going to separate it out from this. And you can see this works because we're only going to be rendering 2 components inside here. And then what we need to do is right around, I think, medium screens. I don't know whether this is good. Is this really? Let's do this inside the phone where we have our medium screens. So inside the medium screens, let's return a width of 96, so that the width of 96 can start applying from medium screens right around here. Yeah, I think we can work with that. I still don't like this. I still don't like that. What if I make this to be on small screens? So small screens, yeah, I think we can work with that. We can work with that, so that now I'm going to go here and say for small screens, then the MX should be auto, which is going to center it properly. You see, now it is in the center. Okay, and then what we need to do is for medium screens and above, then we want this to display on the left and then this to come here. So we're going to say this. We are going to say that, where is it? In our index.js, we're going to say that for medium screens, then the grid columns are going to be 2, which is going to bring this here. You can see, nice. And then you can see that it doesn't really go all the way to the end, but we're going to break this a bit. And okay, this height is still too small. 800, let's say 800. That's too much. 700. Okay, yeah, let's work with 700. But then what I'm going to do is this. I want this to be scaled down a bit. I want it to be scaled down. So what we're going to do is inside here, we're going to say that give it a scale, or let me say that for medium screens, then give it a scale of, let's say 90. Just reduce it a bit. Scale of 90. Let me say scale of 75 is too small. I think 75 is too small, but 75 is the proper scale for this one. It's even smaller than the original, right? You can see it's even smaller. So should we work with 75 or 90? I think let's work with 90 for the sake of the video, so that we can see what we are doing. And so what we need to do next is I want this to be scrolling with us, because if you look in our application, we can scroll and this still remains here. So that is what I want to do. And the way we do that is this. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to say that for medium screens, then I want this font to be fixed in position. And it's going to break, as you can see. So now it comes here, but we don't want it to be here. We want it to be on the right. So I'm going to say that for medium screens, bring it to the right by what? Let's say, okay, let's test it out first of all. Medium screens is right around here. So for medium screens, let's say bring it to the right of 20. How does that look? No, two. Let's say right of 5. No, right of 8. Yeah, right of 8, so that it keeps with this margin. And you're going to see that now if we were able to scroll, then the phone is also going to scroll with us. And then we can increase it to around large screens. You can see the way it's growing. So for large screens, what we want to do is, let's say that for large screens, bring it to the right by 20. Let's see, large screens is where this is medium, and then large there. Okay, right of 20 looks okay. And then we're going to say that for 2XL screens, or the for XL screens, then bring it to the right by 32. We're just playing around with these numbers so that it fits correctly. That looks okay. And then we're going to say that for 2XL screens, bring it to the right by 52. How does that look? Yeah, you can see looking nice. And then when we add in our templates, then you're going to see that this is that it is going to scroll with us. So that looks okay. That looks okay. And then what do we need to do next? Let's see what we need to do. Probably we need to add in our templates. But before we add in our templates, let's go ahead and do this. We want to add in the functionality where when you type in something inside here, then it also updates on the phone. So let's go ahead and add in that functionality first of all. And the way we're going to do that is by turning our inputs into controlled inputs by React. So what we're going to do is, usually what we do is we need to import useState here, and then we're going to create some state values. So the first one is going to be name and set name, and this is going to be equal to useState, and by default it's going to be an empty string because we want this to tie to this input for the name, which means that we're also going to have a state value for our bio and another state value for our links. But one thing you should know is that for these links are going to be like a to-do list, because we want to be able to type in something inside here and then add it to our list that we're going to have. Now, in order to make that a bit more manageable for us, then what we're going to do is we're going to create some context. So inside the source folder, we're going to create a new folder that is called context. And then inside context, I'm just going to call this what? Let me just call it state.js. And then inside state.js, we're going to say import, let me see if I'm going to remember. So import create context from React, and then also we need to import useState. And the reason why we need to import useState is because we are going to remove this from here, and then we're going to add it inside our state. And then once we have that, then I'm going to say const, what do I call this? State context is equal to create context. Okay, and then I'm going to say export default function state. And then inside here, I can destructure children. And then what we're going to do is we're going to return, and we're going to be returning state context. Is it state context dot provider? And then the provider is going to take in some values which we are going to create. And then inside our state context, then we want to pass in the children, meaning the rest of the application. So for now, what you can do is you can create our state value of name and set name, and then this is going to be equal to useState, and by default it's going to be an empty string. And then because it's going to be easier, I want to destructure all the values that we're going to have. So I'm going to say const, let me call this what, context is equal to, and we want to destructure the name and set name, so that now instead of passing all this inside the values, we can just go ahead and pass in context, which is going to pass in both values. I think this should be correct. Now let's save this, and then in order to be able to use this, we need to go inside our underscore app.js. So inside the pages folder and then inside underscore app.js, we need to go ahead and import state context. So is it state? No, import state. What am I saying? From context state. And then we're going to grab this, and then we're going to wrap it inside our state, so that now I can go ahead inside our form.js, and then instead of doing this, then I can say const, and I'm going to destructure, right? And I'm destructuring the name and set name, and this is going to be using a hook that is called use context, and it is going to be imported from React. And then inside use context, we want to get our context inside here. So we're going to say use context, and we want to get the state context. Wait, what am I doing? Use context state. Is it state or state context? Okay, I've made a mistake, because this should be coming from state context, which means the mistake that I've made is here. This should say export state context. So export const state context. So save it, so that now I should be able to import this as a named import from context state. Yeah, this should now work correctly. It should now work correctly. So I can save this. And so now, using these values that we have created in our context, I should be able to turn this input, this first input, into a controlled input by saying set the value of this into name, which we know once again that it is this state value that we have created. And then we're going to have an onChange handler, and then we're going to be targeting the e, the synthetic event of e, and we're going to say set name into e.target.value, meaning populate our state value, which is currently empty, with whatever is going to be typed inside this input. So now I can save this, but we are not going to be able to do anything yet, because I can still type it inside here, but nothing happens. So what we need to do therefore is we need to connect this input with this component that we've created, so that when I type inside this input, then it's going to show up somewhere in our component. And the way we do that is by going inside our form, and then once again we are going to be getting the name, right? So in getting the name from use context, and make sure to import it. I have auto imports on, so that when I type use context and I can just click on this, then it's going to auto import it from me. And then I can also auto import state context, for example. As you can see, when I click on this, it also auto imports it on top. So that is what is happening. And then once you have that, then I can go ahead inside here, and what I'm going to do is, the way I want to structure it is I want to have articles, and this article is going to be an h1 that says the name, right? So now I can save this and look at this magic. Now when I type it inside here, look what is happening right here. See that? So when I'm typing now, it is updating inside our form. Now obviously we don't want this to happen, so we're going to structure this just to look a bit better. So actually, let's go ahead and do that right away. So inside the article, not inside the article, let's grab all of this and place it inside a div, which is going to be the parent for everything that we're going to place inside here. And then inside this div, we're going to give it a class name, and we're going to say give it a padding all around of 8, just to push everything inwards first of all. And then for the h1, let's go ahead and give it a class name of text-center and text- let's say XL, and then let's say font-bold, and then probably text slate 800, so that we're going to have this looking nice. And then once you have that, then all you need to do is do the same thing for the bio. And then for the links, we are going to create a sort of to-do list. So let's go ahead and do that for the bio. So back inside our state, we are going to create a new state value called bio and set bio. This is going to be equal to useState. By default, it's going to be an empty string. And then we want to go ahead and destructure the bio and set bio, so that now everything that is going to be added here is automatically passed inside the value. So that now when I save this, I can go inside our form, and then I can also get the bio here and set bio, so that now I can go inside this text area and convert it into a controlled input. And I can say value here is going to be bio, and then on change, we're going to say pass in e, and we're going to say set bio into e dot target dot value. So that now when I save this, I can now go inside my form, and then below this h1, I want to have a paragraph that says the bio. But remember that we need to also get the bio here from use context, from our state context. And then when I save this, then what you're going to see is I can type in my name, and then I can type in something about myself, and you can see that it updates in our font screen as well. So that looks nice. And you can see that our context is working. So now the way I want to style this is I want to give this a class name of margin top of 4, and then text dash center here. There we go. Nice. Looking fantastic. And then next, we just need to create our links inside here. So let's go ahead and do that. So to do that, we are going to need to structure this a bit differently, because we need this to be a to-do list, right? We need to be able to type in something inside here, and then we should be able to see it here. So therefore, because we need that, then we also need some kind of submission to be happening. So since we already have a form here, if I add in a button here, it is automatically going to be the submit button, and that is not what I want. So what we're going to do therefore is I'm going to cut it out, and then I'm going to create a new component that is called to do. Should I call it to do? Let me just call it links for the sake of naming things. And then let's say RFC inside here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste this in. So we're going to have links. Okay, let's save it. Change this to capital L. And then inside the form, we're going to render links inside here. So links. So that now, if we take a look at our links is not defined, let's import this. Now, if you take a look at our application, nothing changes. You can see that nothing changes, right? But now the links, we have destructured the links, is now going to be here. So what we need to do is we need to have a few state values. So we need to have a state value for the links that we have, all the links that we have, meaning it's going to be an array. And then we also need another state value, which is going to handle this input. So we're going to create them inside our state. So let's go back inside our context and inside state.js. Let's create a new input that is called, what should I call it? Links, and set links. This is going to be equal to useState, and by default is going to be an empty array. And then we're also going to have another input that is going to be called a link. I hope this doesn't confuse me. So link is going to be the text. So link and set link. This is going to be equal to useState, and by default is going to be an empty string. And then let's go ahead and destructure this. So links and link, and then set links and set link, and then save it. And then I can go inside my links, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to destructure the link, and then I'm going to destructure the links, and then set link and set links. And then this is going to be equal to use context, and then we want to pass in our state context. So let's change this input into a controlled input. So we're going to pass in a value of link, and then on change we're going to say pass in e, and then we're going to say set link into e dot target dot value. Okay, that looks okay. What else do we need to do? What else do we need to do? I don't think there's anything else except that we need to create a form here. Sorry, not a form, but a component which is going to render our links. For now, I can just do it inside here, but let me not do that just yet. So how do we do this? How do we handle the submission? The way we handle the submission. Oh, it seems that I actually need to create the extra div or something. So let's create a div inside here, and then inside this div, we're going to say this. We are going to say, what am I doing? Let's say links.map, and then for every link that you get back, let's also get back the index, and then we are going to be returning, and let's return, not a div really, but let's return a UL, so another list, and then let's return a list item with the key of index, and then inside here we're just going to say link dot title. But where is dot title coming from? Dot title is coming from when we submit this. So let's go ahead and create it, otherwise we're going to get an error. And once again, we are going to create it inside our context because we want it to be accessible everywhere. And actually, you know what? I can do it inside here, and then we can just cut it out and paste it inside our context. So we're going to create a submit function. So const handle submit. And then inside here, we're going to be targeting the synthetic event of E, where we're going to say e.prevent default, meaning prevent the default behavior of the page refreshing when you submit the form. And then in order for this to work, then this actually needs to be a form. So let's cut it out and paste it inside a form. Let's remove the action and then paste this in. And then on the form, we're going to have an onSubmit event handler, where we're going to pass in the handle submit function that we have created on top. So let me save this. Actually, don't save it first because this is going to break. It's going to break because of this. So let's go ahead and say this. We want that when we submit the form, then it creates a new item and it passes it inside the set links. And this should be set link with 1K, sorry, without the S. And then inside here, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new item. And then the new item is going to be an object where we're going to say, what is it? We're going to say that the new item is going to be an object, and the ID is going to be, we need to create a unique ID for every item. So we're going to say new date dot get time dot toString. Now, I don't recommend that you do this, but this is just because I don't want to install UUID. And then we're going to create the title, and the title here is going to be the link. So the title is going to be the link, and the link, remember, is going to be dependent on whatever we type in inside this input. And then what we need to do now is we need this new item to be passed inside the set links, which is the function that controls our array. So I'm going to say set links into, and I'm going to say pass in all the links that are already there, and then pass in the new item. And you know what? That is actually the wrong order. I need the new item to come first. So new item, and then using the spread operator, I'm saying if there's anything inside the links, meaning if it is not empty, then pass in the remaining links. Okay, so we can have that. And then just so that this is a bit better, let's cut it out, and then let's have it inside an if statement. So if the if link is present, then I want this to happen. Else, then I just want to raise an alert that says input cannot be empty. Let's see. I hope that covers everything. Let's save it, and hopefully nothing breaks. Hopefully nothing breaks. So let's try it out. Let me add in this or something, and then let me add in YouTube, and oh, something breaks. Hydration failed. Hydration failed. So we have 3 errors. the initial UI doesn't match with what was rendered on the server. Form can, oh, you know what? It is because of this form here. So we have a form and we're rendering it inside another form here. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. So what if I grab this and move it downwards so that now the form is on top? What happens? This happens, but does it work? Okay, there we go. So you can see that now YouTube works, and then I can add in my name, and then I can type in something, and then you can see that now the links are here. So we just need to style this out a bit better. So let me go inside this article and give it a class name of margin top of 8, and 8 because on the form we have a gap of 8, so just to keep everything uniform. And then let's tell out these links. Let's tell out these links. So the links are going to be inside this UL, and the way we're going to style them is we're going to give this UL a class name of margin top of 8 just to keep everything uniform. Okay, that's too much. Let's say margin top of 4, which is a half of 8. And then let's go inside the list items, and inside the list items we're going to say give it a class name, and we're going to say padding y of 2, or the padding y of 3 and padding x of 2, so that I can give the list items a BG of white, and then a very slight rounded border with a slight box shadow as well. And then let's say text. Should I use slate? No, I used purple. So text purple dash 600 and font dash bold. So that we're going to have that. Would you look at that? So these are our links, and then I can type in another one of Facebook, and you can see that is going to be added, but you want them to be separated. You don't want them to be attached to one another. So inside the UL, I mean, I can even do it inside the list items. I can just say margin bottom of about 2, just to separate them out. There we go, looking nice, nice, nice. Now we want this to come from here and then to display on our phone. And you can see that the way we have done it inside here, that we can't really get it. We can't really get them. So what we're going to do is, let's see. Actually, it might still work. Let's go inside the phone and let's get the links. And then once we get the links, we are going to go below this article. We're going to create another article where we're going to map over the links. So links.map. And then for every link, we want to get the index of the link as well. And then let's return a list item with the key of index. And then inside here, let's return the link dot title. And then this shouldn't be an article, it should be an UL. So, and you know what? Why did I need to do this? I could have just copied and pasted it. I can just copy this and then paste it inside here so that even the styles apply. So that when I save it, and they should appear there. Would you look at that? And then now for the ones that appear here, I want the text to be centered. So I can just go ahead inside the UL and say text center. And it's going to center everything. But I don't want the text to be purple inside here. So the text here is going to be slate. And we're going to have that. And then let's move it downwards even more by increasing the margin top to 8. There we go. Looking nice, nice, nice. And then you know what? Not just that, but let's increase the margin bottom to 4 as well. There we go. And then for the links that are inside here, I want that when I hover over them, I want them to like pop up a bit like this. See the animation? I want them to pop out a bit. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to change the cursor here to pointer. So cursor dash pointer. And then let me see, how do we do that? Can we do that in Tailwind, or do I need to use custom CSS? Let's see. Let me add a custom class here called popout. So, or just pop, so that I can go inside my globals and I can save that for the class of pop. Then I want to add an animation, and the animation is going to be called pop. And then I want it to pop for about what, 0.3 seconds, and then in a linear fashion. And then I can create the animation. So add keyframes, and I'm creating it from, and I'm going to say from transform, and we want it to scale from 1, and we want it to go to, wait, not from, let's say from, at 0%, it is on a scale of 1. At 25%, we're going to say transform and scale it to 1.08. Is this going to work? What is happening here? What is happening here? What is this error? At rule or what? What is the at rule? Oh, wait a minute. This should have a name. There we go. Let's see. 25% is going to be 1.08. And then let me bring this back to the top line. And then 50%, we're going to say transform. This is not going to work as I expected. This is not going to work as I'm thinking. We wanted to scale to 1.06. And then, wait a minute. This is too much. Let's say this is 0. Let's say 33%. 33%, and then 66%, and then 100%. We want it to transform and scale to 1.04. This is not going to work as I'm thinking. Let's try it out. Wait, what? Is this not working? That is not working. Let's say background color red to see what is happening. So background color is applying, but the animation is not applying. Am I missing something? How do you add an animation? How do you add an animation? Where is it? Where's that class even? It's on the list item on the phone. Why can't I remember this? This is really annoying. Let me use my Google Docs to cheat a little bit. Let me see what I did in the repository. Just give me a moment. Okay, so I've got the solution. And the solution is to change this to be on hover. So that now when I hover over it, then it's going to be this. And of course, I don't want the red color on hover, so let's remove it. So now when you hover over it, then it pops in. That's not really the best animation. It's not really the best. So, oh, you know what? We can do this. We can remove this, and then we can change this to 50%. So 1.06, 1.04, how does that look? This animation too slow, 0.1. Okay, too fast, 0.2. I'm not sure whether that is the best. Let's change this to 1.08. And then change this to 1.06. It's a lot of trial and error. But that's okay. That is okay. Now, where were we? We were adding in more links. So Facebook, let's say Instagram. And there we go. Now, what I want is when I finish